can come in and out of there, and as fuel prices rise, it would be more economical for local manufacturers to be shipping their products on the rail versus in the air. So I wouldn't look to that as, I wouldn't suppress it, but I would say our rail should be our main focus, and a supervisor should take a very active role in communicating with other counties and the rail authority to get that project going. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure the rail is viable. Every time they get about $400 million to fix the rails, they get about so far and they run out of money. If Marin has its way, they're never going to come through Marin again. And I remember years ago when the train actually did run through here and they picked up stuff at Masonite and LP, it would come through town at lunchtime and it would stop right in front of Perkins Street and Goby Street and block all the traffic. And I'm not sure that everybody remembers. Kind of like we have fond memories of Masonite, that they had high-paying jobs, but we forget about all the steam that floated through the valley and landed on everybody's cars. So I'm not sure the rail is viable. The airport, part of my platform is to steal some of the tourists that are flying into Santa Rosa with Horizon Airlines with their scheduled service, because Santa Rosa's tourism is up 10% in the last year. What they've done is they're bringing in people from Europe because the dollar's so weak. They're actually taking advantage of that, and they're bringing people in on wine country tours and making weekends out of it. And I think we can steal some of them and bring them over to our coast and our redwoods and our bed and breakfast inns.
Thank you. Mr. McGowan.
I certainly support the return of the rail. I live in Hope. Currently, the city of Novato has a lawsuit. It's become a very lengthy, drawn-out process, but particularly with the rising gas costs, it will help to make the railroad viable. Initially, it's really only going to be for freight because the condition of the track is so deteriorated. It's rated Class C, and that limits the trains to 10 miles an hour. So I don't think you're going to be seeing excursion runs to the Bay Area anytime soon. But still, it could serve a useful purpose to convey freight. I certainly support the airport. The city of Ukiah has aggressively sought jobs, recruited businesses to locate there that do provide living wage jobs to people in the community. We need to keep doing more of the SAT. Thank you.
Thank
I want
you.
to rebut. I want 30 seconds
Yes.
on the rail. The rail was brought up to a point to where it could go faster. The rail could be upgraded very simply. The biggest problem is it's been poor management, and I mean poor management. They had the funds. The funds can still be required out there to do this and open that rail. I know where they're at. I would know how to turn around and appoint the people to do it.
Thank you. There's a lot of questions about water. We still haven't finished with that. You've all mentioned it. One question is, doesn't development need to wait until we have solved the water problem? Please explain. And another one, where would the $150 million for raising the dam, I guess, come from? And we are facing another critical water year at Lake Mendocino. What does that say about our growth over the next few years? So those are all kind of the relationship between water, the future of water, and development and water. It's Mr. Mulhern? It's, yes, okay.
Sorry. I used my thumb. Sorry about that.
Okay, you get to start.
Our watershed supply studies have not been done adequately. Right now, we're basing our water on, we have paper water, we have 1970s estimates of groundwater. We can't be planning large developments based on unknown water capacity. We have to do watershed studies so that we know our available capacity, so that we can, as I said before, properly allocate it between agriculture, domestic use, industrial, and commercial uses. When it comes to policies for the county, I would like to see us reduce our above average rate of consumption, assess our water situation, and then recommend supply increases. But we have to look at ways we can save water and increase capacity, and those should be localized projects such as reservoirs that are near the site, and I'm referring to John Pinch's elaborate project, which is a poor choice.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mulhern.
I think the Corps of Engineers finally agreed to raise the level in the existing dam where we don't have to create another higher dam. And I think that Mendocino County ought to investigate locking in the beneficial rights to that water so that we can use it for Mendocino County. I think it was mentioned in the first forum with the first district supervisors that the county's also looking at a study of 4 or 5 other sites for reservoirs, because we don't really have a water problem, we have a water storage problem. We have plenty of water, it just flows out of here. What we were a little short-sighted in doing 50 years ago was not getting on board with creating more of our own storage behind the Coyote Dam, because what we were worried about at that time was flood control, not water storage. I think we need to be more visionary and say that 100 years from now, what's the population of Mendocino County going to be, and how much water do we need, and then make allowances for creating that.
Thank you, Mr. McCollum.
Well, rather than be concerned about where will the water for future development come from, right now we need to be concerned about where will the water come to supply our existing needs in a dry year. And we're going to have more dry years because of the regulatory climate. And we're in a very poor position to do anything effective about it because we don't have a unified water policy by all the water entities in the county. So when the Potter Valley project cutback was raised suddenly from the expected 15% to 33% or more, we really didn't have an effective response. And I think that's something that needs to change. Raising the dam, where will the money come from? Most of it will come from the federal government, hopefully some from the state, but it's going to be very expensive locally to raise those funds as well. It'll probably be through long-term bonds. But if we are able to gain additional water storage, we can sell the excess to help pay for it.
Thank you.
I've been involved in water throughout the county for a long time. The handwriting was on the wall way back over 8 years ago. We told and we talked to the other districts and we let them know what was going to happen, and it has happened. The cutback coming through the Potter Valley Tunnel and the water source in that. The funds to raise the dam would come from the 2 sources plus the local source as well, as he was talking about, federal, state, and a local match. You would get the funds to do that. But there's so many questions and so many environmental issues on Lake Mendocino and how you raise it that would have to be addressed and it may not happen. The Coyote Valley Dam and Lake Mendocino Russian River Flow Water Control Manual. I doubt if anybody here has read this. Maybe one, because I brought it to the city's attention to be read. I don't know if it did. Dryness, being without water, has been a major thing that's ran on throughout the whole history here. I do that. I consult with counties and waters and agencies and do that. We've talked to it. It's putting the agencies together and make it happen. That would be my #1 priority and goal.
Can I add, I mean, it's not exactly a rebuttal, so I don't know if that counts for,
Well, you can.
You get it?
okay.
Get your 30 seconds.
Yeah, I want to emphasize what we can do to improve what we already have, and that is the way we treat our runoff. We need to slow it, spread it, sink it. I'm sure you've heard this before, but we need to re-look at the way we have treated water in the past and redesign our urban areas so that we aren't frivolously pushing off our high storm flows. And well, there's not enough time to continue, so that'll stop there.
Can I have a 30-second rebuttal on that, too?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I'll let you go first, okay? I want you to know there's study for study for study that's been done out here in this county, and the county has the records, and so do the other agencies. We've gone and we pulled them out, and we've done that, and we've looked through this. They need to be evaluated and looked at and pulled together and then addressed with a whole group. That's what the problem is we're just going to go do another study. Let's bring the data together and make the water department do its job and get us together.
Thank you.
And we do need to focus on groundwater recharge and, in the short term, conservation and reuse to make the most of what we currently have.
Okay, now, none of you answered the second half of the question, which was, doesn't development need to wait until we find a solution for water? Let's see who gets to start. Mr. Mulhern gets to start.
I'll go ahead. The Masonite, when Masonite was in operation, they apparently ran